Hey man, it's winter, what we call winter. It's not even really winter yet, I don't think. But the cold weather's here, so I've got some chores I gotta do. This is how we prep for winter in northeast Georgia. That's pretty much it. Trying to water out of the sawmill. No, not really. There's a little bit more to it than that. I gotta get the tarp up on there in a second. Hold on a minute. Alright. That's a lousy job, one man. But the big thing we have to do, obviously, is cut firewood. And we'll be cutting firewood for two houses this, I don't know if that light's in your eyes. Two houses this winter, what we call winter. That's gonna take up a lot of my time, obviously, because I usually cut firewood as we need it. I mean, we don't need that much. So I usually have some logs down somewhere and just work on them as I need them. So I'll have to get ahead this year. But that's gonna take up a lot of my time, so we'll be doing firewood videos, a lot of firewood videos. So here we'll start right now. Check this out. This is an old 026. I'm not sure how old this one is. They quit doing the O thing a few years ago. I know my dad had an 026 that he used back in, well, the early 80s, possibly the early 70s. We ran that saw up until I got out of the Marine Corps. And then I was going to start selling firewood on the side. And the saw had just like blown up just then. Like, I'm not sure why, I don't remember why. But the saw had lasted. See, I got out of the Marine Corps in 1999. Easy 19 years. And we ran it hard. Dad used it professionally for a while, and then we cut all our firewood with it. This is my father-in-law's now. He just got it. He ran a Husqvarna for, I don't know what just happened. He ran a Husqvarna for years. And I've always been a steel guy, which, you know, I'm brand loyal anyway, so I always enjoy those, you know, Ford versus Chevy, steel versus Husqvarna thing, even though it's not really fair to Chevy or Husqvarna. But his Husky blew up recently, and he found that 026 and got that one. I think he's ran Huskies for a very long time, so it's his first steel. And that is an old saw. I know. I don't remember exactly when they quit doing when they switched it around and stopped doing 026 and did like 260 or the 26.0. But it's been probably 10 years, maybe more. So that's an old saw to begin with. I haven't got to run it yet. I'm going to play with it today maybe. He says it's not running perfect, but he's a perfectionist, so his not running perfect is probably my running fine. I love that size saw. I ran that in 025 for years. And I think my brother blew it up. He ran it without a two-stroke gas. He just put straight gas in it one day and blew it up. But I cut, literally one year I cut 20 cords of firewood. And I was running two saws at the time. And I had a big saw. I had an 044 and that 025. So like that year, the 025 didn't cut all 25 cords, but it probably cut most of them. Because I like that size saw. You know, that 044 was massive. It's a gigantic saw. It was a good saw. I traded it for a tiller and lost my shirt. I'm a terrible horse trader. But that's neither here nor there. So we're gonna play that 026 today, and then I've got my 3100. It's not 3100. It's a 310. MS 310. The guy threw out. Another guy rescued out of the trash and sold to me for $150. Like I said, I'm a terrible horse trader. But we're gonna try to get a couple truckloads cut today. And the only reason why I wouldn't, and I'm not sure if I can see it, you can see it from here. I shouldn't show it to you because you're gonna see my messy front yard. If you can see down there on the truck, it's got 400 pounds of solar panels on it. And I haven't decided where I'm going to put them or how I'm going to get them off of there. But I do have my father-in-law's truck I might use. I got to run some wood over to him. He's had some health complications. And so I'm going to get to pick up the slack for once, which was unusual. Normally he picks up the slack. So let's get going here. Alright, so I'm going to use that, see how that 026 runs. This 310 is a solid saw. It's just solid, it's heavy. I mean, it's really heavy. For no good purpose. I'm not sure why it's this heavy, except that it's an amazing saw in that, you know, I'll set it down at the end of the season. I may or may not have run the gas out of it. I usually ran the gas out of it. That's usually when I quit cutting this. And then it just sit here in the what we rather optimistically call a shed. It'll sit there until I pick it up. You know, in December. I'll usually set it down sometime in March, and I'll pick it back up, you know, October, November, and it always fires right up. An amazing saw. But like I said, heavy, and that's probably why it's so good, and it's heavy, you know. But I mean, to make it good, it has to be heavy. But we're gonna gas up this 026 today. If I can find space on my, what we're optimistically calling a workbench, to put it. Now, chainsaws are one of those. I'm gonna gas on my phone. I rode a motorcycle across the country when I was 17. Was all kinds of proud of myself. Joined the Marine Corps. Was in the infantry. Was a tow gunner. Shot missiles right next to my head. You sat on top of the Humvee with the missile system, and it just fired right there. And it was not unheard of for those missiles to blow up on launch. You know, it did all the stuff you do in the Marine Corps. Live fire, movement to contact. Went to Bosnia. Went to Haiti. Technically went to Kosovo, even though I didn't actually get off the ship. I like guns. I like motorcycles. I consider chainsaws to be the most dangerous thing I've ever used or done. You know, when we were in Bosnia, most of the shooting had stopped. Well, I'm sorry, the shooting had stopped. But it was still, you know, a real world mission, whatever that meant, especially in the Clinton years. And we set in this one time, we were on this convoy, and we set in, and we didn't really set in because there's landmines everywhere. We just kind of pull off the side of the road and hope, you know, nothing goes crazy. And we weren't allowed to, we couldn't get out of our trucks because of the landmine threat. So my squad leader climbed up on top of the Humvee, got down on the front corner of the hood, and was gonna, you know, pee off into the ditch. And he looks down, and there, 6 inches off our wheel, was a landmine. I think he said it was a Bouncing Betty. I didn't see it. He told me it was a Bouncing Betty. That was a tense moment. There was this other moment again in Bosnia when we were convoying in, and they had told us that they had told us going in that we were going to get in some shooting, but we never did. Anyway, there's this big long story about crossing this bridge, and you know, that had this truck with a slash through it. You know, you weren't supposed to take trucks across the bridge, and they made me go across first in Humvee to make sure it didn't fall down. And I got across this bridge and turned right. My squad leader, he told me he was going to get out of the truck to walk behind me to make sure that the bridge wasn't breaking. To this day, I believe he just didn't want to be in the truck if the bridge, it doesn't matter. We got across the bridge and turned right, and there's this really dramatic canyon, some cool stuff going on there. When you turned right off the bridge, you went sort of into this tunnel without a top on it, and there, right in front of us, was a T-72, T-72 tank. I'm sorry, I'm way off topic here. And if you know anything about the T-72 tank or tanks in general, it was the main Soviet battle tank for years, and they made millions of them, and they gave them to everybody. But you know, if you're a tow gunner, at least in the Marine Corps at that time, the T-72 was like, you know, the tank you trained against, or you trained for, or thought about, and everyone has them. You know, the old Warsaw Pact, a lot of the Middle East. Well, it was the tank that the Serbians at the time were using, who we thought were our enemies. And we come around this corner, and there's this T-72 just sitting there. Now, we have a tow missile, but a tow missile, we were too close to shoot it, because if it exploded, it would have killed us. The detonation would have killed us, and we were too close. Anyway, I started screaming for my squad leader to fire, shoot him, and he's like, we're too close, I don't care, shoot him. And while we're yelling at each other, the main gun, the turret turns, points the main gun right at us, lowers the gun, and it's just pointed right in. I mean, if they'd have shot, you know, they were aiming the main gun right at us. And I'm freaking out, and I mean, I wasn't like screaming or crying on it, but you know, I'm like, shoot, and my squad leader wants to call back and figure out what's going on. And you know, it's a good thing he did, because as he's calling back to get instructions, I would have pulled the trigger and blown us all to kingdom come. The top hatch opens, and this Polish guy pops out and starts waving. The Poles were part of the mission. They were trying to join NATO at the time, and they used the T-72 as well. The point of all that saying, as tense as that moment was, I don't remember being as nervous as I am sometimes cutting down a tree. Not usually bucking something on the ground, even though that's still very dangerous, because that saw can get bound up and it can kick back on you, and people have died. Shocking numbers of people have died that way. And actually, one of the trees I have to cut down here is an old dead pine tree, and dead pines are the worst about this. You know, you never know what they're going to do as far as when they fall. Also, they're real bad about the top, or branches falling out of the top while you're cutting on them. Chainsaws and firewood cutting is some of the most dangerous stuff I've ever done in my life. It is mitigable. It is able to be mitigated. Mitigable. I think that's a word. It is a mitigable threat that if you pay attention and do right, you can largely abrogate. Mitigable didn't work for me, so I decided to throw an abrogate out there. But if you've never worked with a chainsaw before, you haven't been raised with it. I was raised with it. You really need to get some good training. You need to get with someone who knows what they're doing, and you need to spend some time learning how to use that thing and learning what it can do to you. Because if it goes bad, it goes very, very, very bad. Very bad. Anyway, that's enough of me gabbing. Let's get this thing gassed up. That would be oil in the gas. Wrong kind of oil. Okay, so we all know we need bar oil. I used to think you needed really expensive bar oil. An old timer then one day pointed out to me, I think it was my father-in-law actually, that it's a one-time use. It's getting spread on the ground. Any old 30-weight oil will do. In fact, he saves motor oil and filters it and runs it in his. So this might be the first time this saw's had real bar oil in years. Look at that mess. That's what you get when you try to do things one-handed and not paying attention. Alright, I will have to actually put you down while I do the gas though, because of all of life's worst irritants, these new gas cans are the worst. Hold on a minute. Alright, well, I was using both hands and still made a mess on that one. Of course, that's because I take that spout off and try to pour it out of the mouth, and it just didn't work. Oh, that's going to be a well-oiled chain. Alright. So I touched a little bit on the whole Husky versus steel thing. And the truth of the matter is, Husky's a fine saw. There's nothing wrong with it. I've used them. I've never owned one, but I've used them, and they're fine. The whole thing about the chainsaw is the chain. And you can have a shockingly small motor do really, really well with a sharp chain. And the best chainsaw in the world won't do anything with the chainsaw. So if you've got a chainsaw that starts and runs, and as long as the chain's sharp, it'll do fine. And even echoes, I've known some guys who ran echoes to great effect. Yeah, I don't. Look, there's other saws, you know, you can go to Walmart if you're still shopping at Walmart, despite what they said about your Second Amendment rights. You know, and get a Poland, maybe even a home light. You know, like I said, as long as they start, the chain is what's important. The chain and the bar, by the way. But the thing is, you're going to spend more money, you're getting that thing fixed every year. I got gas on me. Than you would just buying a decent saw to begin with, a Steel, a Husky, or even an Echo. I am not sold on these electric saws unless you're a homeowner. You know, you cut for firewood. You just need to saw for the occasional, you know, cutting up some down limbs, or you know, maybe a camping trip. You're going to cut some firewood. Then those electric saws seem like a good deal. But they're not ready for prime time yet. Anyway, I'm gabbing I'm stalling just before I start cutting, I guess. I don't know. All right, here we go. I don't have a camera woman out. See how this saw is going to start. It's I was looking at it, and it's older even than I thought. Let's see how this works. I have no idea if you guys can see this or not. I hope you can't see it. Okay, so apparently the 026 isn't going to start. Let me go gas up my 310. That bothers me because he said it was running. Alright, we got the 310 set up. Let's try this again. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm not sure what's wrong with that 026. It's a shame, it's a good saw if it ran. Alright, so that MS310 has a reputation for being terrible on gas, but that's one tank's worth, and that's one tank's worth of me, you know, stopping to pee with the motor running, or stopping to throw wood out of the way with the motor running, or stopping to stare at the sky with the motor running. Yeah, so I could probably gotten a lot. I'm not probably. I would have gotten maybe not twice as much, but certainly a significant amount more if I had been being diligent. One other thing to remember though about this is that this is mostly a very dry pine, which I don't normally like to burn, but I have a lot of it. So I'll just have to be sure to clean the chimney after this season. I mean, one season of a dry pine out of a wood stove isn't going to hurt it. If you were burning a green pine in a chimney for a couple of seasons, then you'd have a problem. But it doesn't hurt to be careful. I don't think. I've been told. I've never been careful myself, but I would assume it doesn't hurt. Or maybe it does hurt. Maybe that's why I've never done it. But look what I did. I buried my splitting maul underneath a pile of wood. So now, before I can start splitting this wood, I gotta dig my damn splitting maul out. But I think before I do that, I'm gonna go have a glass of sweet tea. No, I'm sorry, I'm cutting back on the sweet tea. I'm gonna go have a glass of water